and I just went with it.
Okay. All right. Well, I do apologize for the technology.
It was Zoom. It was not. It was a product of our environment. It was the environment.
The environment. But anyway, look, let me just kick it off by saying, and welcome to the Pagey train. Today, I have on Zoom with us today, Jay Knapp from Made in the West Film Festival, Still Searching Productions, Revel Film, writer and producer. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Ugh, you again.
Man, we've got some things to cover today. Obviously, we've just launched Rewind by Made in the West Festival. It's interesting that we've been working online, but offline. We're not. I get these things confused. Are we working online?
I think we're working online, aren't we? Well,
Yeah,
I haven't seen you. I haven't seen you in weeks.
Yeah, but we've been working together. We've been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, well, it's just the product of of our circumstances. I miss you dearly. I wish I was there in the studio doing this podcast there with you and with Misty and enjoying her home cooked dinners. But this is what we're facing. This is life as we know.
This is COVID, man. You got to deal with it. But I think it's forced our hands in interesting ways, and some of those ways are the way that we conduct our business. And, we've started the show Rewind. In case you guys haven't checked it out yet, it's on Made in the West Film Festival YouTube channel. You should totally go and subscribe to that, of course. But with that said, we've been doing a look back onto films that we've been doing through Made in the West over the last 10 years. We've been doing this.
Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. I love the idea. When you and Misty suggested it, I thought it was such a fantastic way of looking back, reminding people that we've always been here, reminding them that we're always going to be here, and just, showcasing Western Sydney filmmakers, showcasing their short films. It's such a great way to get behind them, especially during these times when we all feel like we're stuck inside, maybe the creative juices are lacking. It's such a great way to remind people that, you can still be involved if you're stuck at home, like a film, watch a film. There's all sorts of online classes. There's all sorts of, stuff that you can be doing to better your craft. It's let's not look at these times as a downside. Let's find the opportunities.
Well, there certainly are a lot of opportunities there. Just releasing the recent episode of Rewind, the pilot. We had films like Dead Man's Face, Wild Dances, and these films, were absolute yardsticks and milestones in the Made in the West project, if you like. And it's good to sort of pump energy back into this older content that we never would have looked at unless people really wanted to go and see it. And we've had a good reception so far. But yeah, I just find it fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating, the situation that we're in. It's terrible that it's a crisis, don't get me wrong, but it's forced our hand in a way to make us work differently. Like the podcast that we're on at the moment, normally we do it in the studio. So now it's sort of, the podcast is open up to doing more online stuff. But as well with Rewind. And if you haven't checked it out, guys, make sure you go and check it out. We've got an episode coming out this Friday. We're showing Bleeding Backs, Man vs. Possum, and 3 Feet Deep. Again, some films that have had a massive impact on audiences in Western Sydney. It's just a strange thing to be doing. It's a strange thing to be doing, but it's a lot of fun.
We should deconstruct those films. So they were Bleeding Backs, which of course was the best student film winning film of, I think, 2016 possibly, 2016 maybe.
Best student film 2016.
2016. And I think that was the first action, I don't know, it felt to me like it was the first actiony, really well produced, all the fight scenes were really well choreographed. The acting was incredible. I'm pretty sure it picked up Best Sound Design, Best Actor. Really, really good one by, of course, Matthew C. Vella. So that's definitely one to look forward to.
Oh, look, Matt did a really good job with this film. It did well. Obviously, it did well at Made in the West. But he went over to New York, to AMC. The film got shown in Edinburgh. And he took out so many awards. That film has so many laurels on its poster. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. And then we moved to Man vs. Possum. which was also 2016. I think that was Brendan Watcher.
Yeah, Brendan Watcher.
Animated film, and it's so funny. It's definitely in my list, of like, if there was like a top 10 or like a top 20 of Made in the West, like a Triple J hottest countdown, it would totally be in my like top 10.
Well, I think Brendan also had a claymation. Is that right? A claymation, a stop motion. He had a stop motion film before that, I think. And I'm gonna
the King and the Queen. I'm seeing like a crown, a regal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this King and the Queen idea, and I think they were like killing servants and this sort of crazy stuff. I'd like to get that on the show for Rewind as well. But yeah, it's good to see animations. Like I've just for tonight. I've been a busy boy tonight. I've done the hostings for episode 2 for Rewind. And I was talking about the film. So I was talking about Man vs. Possum. And we'd like to see more animations in Made in the West. We only get a small smidgen of animation because animation's a difficult thing to achieve.
Well, yeah. Do you have any experience working in animation? I don't. And I think it would be really maybe a common assumption that animation is easy or that it doesn't involve a lot of work. And I think that's got to be wrong, right?
Totally. It's way easier to get a camera and go into someone's house and go, let's shoot this story. That's way easier than doing a full animation. Animation is a lot of work. Like I personally don't have experience doing animation, but I've worked with animators and it is an extreme amount of work. This is work that is done frame by frame. So you have to be a very patient person to do animation. Absolutely.
I heard that Finding Nemo, the first Finding Nemo, took the animators a week. Every 5 seconds of that film took a week.
That's what I mean. Like if you're working at a frame rate of, let's just say 25 frames per second, that's 25 stop motion ideas that happen per second. There's a lot of work, an immense amount of work. And that's why it's good to see stop motion in the festival, because you go, wow, this person's done a lot of work. And to see it to be a finalist is even better. It's
great to showcase that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of animators out there. It's just that it's hard to get a duration up to that time with a story that will fit into what you're trying to achieve. It's a lot of work. So a big shout out to Brendan Watcher while we're here. He's done 2 animations for the festival. And by the way, Brendan, if you are listening, we are trying to signal here that we'd like some more animation films, okay? You do a good job at it.
If that wasn't obvious. And also, while you're here, share, subscribe.
Yeah, share, subscribe. If you haven't checked out and looked at the Pagey Train, you're clearly watching it now. And while you're watching it, if you like it, hey, don't forget to subscribe. We need more subscribers. We're doing okay in the subscription sweepstakes, if you like. But we have more listeners than we have viewers. So we do okay on the views. Pretty good going on the views. But our listeners are going really well.
And what was the third film? It was 3 Feet Deep.
Yeah, Rachel Bell Myers, absolute rock star of the film festival, 2-time winner. I had to actually, when I was doing my hostings, because if you can see behind me, that's where I do the hostings. I was doing the hostings for this week's episode for 3 Feet Deep, and I was trying to figure out how to talk about Rachel, because Rachel has done so much in the festival. In fact, one year she was a sponsor. After she had won a couple of times, she was actually a sponsor in the festival from Jaded Bell Productions, actually. And it took me about 7 takes to sort out how to talk about Rachel. I realised that I need a teleprompter. And they're $300. Should I get a teleprompter?
Yes. Yes, you should.
Totally should.
I struggle to take all that is awesome about RBM and put it into, so I get that. I think 3 Feet Deep is, it was 2018. So let's recap. She won Best in the West in 2016 for First World Problems, 2017 for Curated Illusions, and then came back in 2018 with 3 Feet Deep, which picked up Best Score by Anisha Thomas. Shout out to Anisha Thomas.
Big shout out to Anisha Thomas. I had her on the show, I think it was about 2 months ago. It was this year. She was in this season. And yeah, what a fantastic operator. I don't have enough good things to say about Anisha. She is someone that is shooting for the stars, man. She is bold. She's a bold lady. And she's doing some incredible work with some really good, talented people out there. And I think it was really... Sorry?
I was going to say, shout out to her small business, Soundhow. If you're looking for a film composer, look her up. She's doing really great stuff. And she does a lot of like charitable, philanthropic, like giving back for every 5 jobs she does. She donates proceeds to a charity. So she's a really, really great human being. Yeah,
I've got a lot of time for her. One day we're going to be watching her holding on to the biggest award you can get in filmmaking. I'm sure of it. I'm absolutely sure of it. It may be not in the next 5 years, but it may be in the next 10 or 20 years where we see her on the big screen for sure. Or actually listening to her on the big screen. But back to 3 Feet Deep.
Speaking of the sound on 3 Feet Deep,
I never got to mention this. I didn't mention this in the show that we filmed tonight. But yes, I did do the sound design for 3 Feet Deep, and it was a very fun job. I totally should have shouted myself out. I totally should have.
That was a missed opportunity. You really enjoy doing Foley, don't you, Rossi?
Yeah, I do. It's a strange art. I've talked about this a few times on the show. It's something where you get to react the entire film. What I mean by react is like do a reenactment of the film, but you do it from a soundscape point of view. So it's like you're doing a lot of on-screen stuff where you're not on screen. All of the things that you're building are in the background. It's these nuances that make it real, or provide the opportunity to suspend disbelief. And sound is a big part of that. And that's why I really enjoy doing Foley. Since we've even met, I think the first projects we did together back at university film school, we did Foley together.
Who, you and me?
Yeah.
Man. I was reminiscing about the uni days the other day because I was thinking about sleep. I was thinking about
oh wow,
something we did with Maddie and James and Natalie. Yeah, that was in 2012. And I don't remember if there was. I think I recorded sound on that, possibly.
Yeah, maybe. You were sounding on a few things around that time. But
Push the envelope.
Were you a soundy on that?
I think so. Maybe not all days. What?
You were a soundy on pushing the envelope?
Maybe not all days, but maybe one of the days.
Okay. I'm trying to remember who the soundy was. I'm sorry, whoever did that. Oh, the busy person.
Can we just shout out to the sound operators? You do great stuff.
Yeah.
You do very, very good stuff.
Boom pole operators. Oh, well, a big shout out to, Dave Bradford, actually. He's my current sound operator. He does a really good job. No formal education in doing sound, but just really good at it. He's just really good at it. But I need to go back and look up who did pushing the envelope. I feel terrible, Jay.
Who would it? Oh, I think I remember who it was.
You do?
Yeah, when we don't speak his name.
Oh, I've blanked this out. That's why. Oh.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, let's not get into the deep annals of how I get defensive about my friends. Is that a nice way to put it? That's a nice way to put it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely a nice way to put it. Moving along from that kind of negativity, we've got some 3 films coming up this Friday. We're out every Friday. We're showing these films, obviously, during COVID, which is a real kick in the balls for so many people, us included. And some people are doing better than others. Some people are doing worse than others. We understand that. But I guess the goal of the show is to entertain people. We want to show people this content that may not necessarily have seen it before. And just to illustrate that, Western Sydney are doing some really good things in film, man. We're kicking some ass out there, to be quite frank. Yeah.
I mean, look, it's great to get the films out of the backlog. It's great to give them a bit of, a lease of life and to give them some air. Filmmakers, finalists that enjoy the spotlight and Made in the West go on. They've had other opportunities at Fairfield City Museum and Gallery, at Liverpool City Council, at the Western Sydney Leadership Dialogue. So this is just another opportunity.
Jesus.
What?
I totally forgot all about this. We do so many things. Like you just.
Well, I mean, Made in the West isn't the end. You know, a lot of these films get this second lease on life, third lease on life, and it's because we're really lucky that we have those partnerships with those places. So Rewind, is something that we're doing, but it's great that we can support these filmmakers and have a bit of fun along the way.
Oh man, we had something. You've just taken me back. Like we've had these films playing at train stations in Fairfield and Liverpool and Liverpool Mall, and I think even some of this content got down to Melbourne at some point. Like it's just insane where we've pushed on this content. But I just been going through this journey because obviously you go through the database. So there's a big part of what you've been doing, going through the database, looking at films that we've shown previously. Because like as someone who curates films and tries to put this content together, it's difficult to get someone to be participating in a show where their film hasn't done the full circuit yet. So my target has been pre-2018. With that said, I have wrangled a few 2019 films recently. You guys know who you are, and I won't put too many spoilers out there straight away. But there are some 2019 films that will be in Rewind. But my main target has been, that content that's already done the lap. And for me, it's been interesting going on this journey where you look at the creme de la creme, if you like, or the gem de la femme, if you will, of of films that are out there. Because like bringing up Wild Dances. Wild Dances is a film that we showed last week, and I just remember watching this movie going, this is just amazing, the content that we're making. And then, looking at the Dead Man's Face was his own, my own. I must say, when I did the hosting for that, I got that wrong, but it's already out there. There's no going back. But looking at these films,
there is going back because we go back every Friday.
We do.
Like, subscribe.
This is how I think the introduction that I do is. Man, I've done so many takes of this tonight. It's your weekly dose of short films from the Film Festival archive. But going through that archive is just absolutely fantastic. I don't know. It gives you the warm and fuzzies. I think that's a good way to put it.
Is it interesting to observe almost like the dialogue of every year? Like, are there certain years where it's like really internal, people are self-contemplating things? Are there certain years where there's a lot of guns and violence? Are there certain years where there's a lot of, I don't know, hyper drama?
Yeah, I think there are different influences for different people making films. I think an obvious corner to go to in that kind of discussion would be political. Sometimes people make a political film. Like you'll get those documentaries that are political, or films that have a statement that are trying to make society better, to identify an issue. But there's always been those films, the fluid part of what you're talking about would be films where you get, 1 year you get more horrors. You get a lot of horror films. And 1 year you get a lot of action films. I think it's really dependent on the zeitgeist of what's going on in Western Sydney and globally at the time.
Zeitgeist?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. University education or YouTube, extraordinaire looking for the zeitgeist. But I think, it depends what's going on at the time. And I think it's such a complex thing to think about. I've thought about it at the time, about what these films are in that year. But then going back, I'll give you an example. An analogy that we would, or not an analogy, but something that we would say at the festival is every year is better than the last. And that's true to an extent. That's true. I think we say that in the context of the broad spectrum of films that we receive. Like, we got film 1 to film 20. All of them are awesome at the moment. But there was a time where you go back to 5 years and you'd go, well, there's 5 of them that are awesome and there's 15 that are good. But those 5 awesome films are totally in contrast with the films that we're getting now. So looking back, I realized that they've always been good. It's just something that we're getting more tapped into. The thing that's changed, and the thing that I'm learning, is that the films are always good, they're always good. It's just that we have an ability to tap into them more so, or in fact, perhaps inspire people to make them. And yeah, that's the strange thing that I've been finding is the quality. Yeah, it does increase over the block of films that we receive, but if you look at a film like Sunday, for instance, which was back in 2014. I think it was about 2014. I think I have that right. Big shout out to Bridget LeVay. Beautifully shot film, gorgeous movie, absolutely gorgeous movie. But that was in 2014. A clear winner. It took out the Best in the West. It took out the Audience Choice Award. But if you put that in contrast to films that have been out recently, like Melon Grab, Campesinos, these films are in the same spectrum. It's just that we've invited more people to participate, and that gives you a wider spectrum. So I think that feeling of it being better every year comes from that bulk upload of all of these great films. But essentially, those films have always existed. They've always been there. It's just that we've shined a light on it. That's what I'm starting to learn by going back through this journey.
It's a part of every year getting better that people are submitting films one year, getting that feedback, submitting again the next year. They're spending the time honing their craft.
Yeah, totally. I think there is an element of that. But I think, I guess the point that I'm driving to is that human spirit. The talent is there. It's just that honing those talents, you will get better films from a technical perspective. They're shot better, they sound better, they have a narrative arc. But the thing that I noticed that hasn't really changed is the heart. That heart is just as intense as it was today as it is 5, 7, 8 years ago. The heart is the same. The application of that heart may have changed across the wider spectrum, but there are films that we have gotten and received and presented that are in the same ilk now. Like, imagine if Sunday played in the 2018 film festival. It may have still won. Like, that's my point. But at the other end of the contrast is that some of our semi-finalists now, we look at our semi-finalists, you go, man, if you'd entered the festival 3 years ago, you would have had a podium finish. No doubt. There's no doubt. And that's where that feeling comes from. I guess I don't want it to come across as a negative thing. I think it's a positive thing. But I just think on reflecting, on rewinding, if you will, don't forget to subscribe. On rewinding, you start to realize that human spirit is always in there. And I just find that's what gets the hairs on your arm standing up. It's what makes you realize that this society that we're in has this. It's totally democratic. Like, it's totally democratic. It's totally an opportunity for people to have a platform. And once you provide that platform, people will fill that void. If you say to someone, there's an opportunity here to have your film on a 4-story screen with a full DCP, they will give it a red hot shot. They just will. That just will.
Hey, speaking of semi-finalists, you've got me thinking about one from last year, a gentleman that we know as Tim Mallon, who did Epilogues, which was I suppose a documentary, and it interviewed people who had gone through the grief of losing someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you remember watching it. I'm not sure if it was a standout for you, but it was certainly a standout for me. Tim, of course, was in our 2016 festival with his film Mountie County, which was another little Mountie County Stories from Dawson Mall. Get the full title in.
Yeah, but we just called it Mountie County. I was actually looking at Mountie County today to put it into Rewind.
Please put it in Rewind. It is on my list. It is like a standout for me. It's absolutely amazing. Tim, to me, he is someone to watch.
Yeah, look, Mountie County for me is one of those. Maybe grab you by the throat's a bit wrong. It's one of those. It's one of those films that really brings something up from the surface and goes, "Look at this," and judge it if you will, think badly of it if you will, but this is how it is. It's a very, very real style of filmmaking that Tim was doing with me. It's very real. And in some respects, it can be a bit confronting for people, seeing those kind of documentaries. Because don't get me wrong, you'll get the surface judgment of like, oh, just Westies being Westies. But I think he was diving into deeper ideas. And yeah, Tim, big shout out, mate. I'm coming for you. We want your film for Rewind. Yeah, I think he is someone that is a mover and groover and is onto the pulse. That's for sure.
And another film that would be in my dream lineup, I've got to say, is Where is Damien Stafford?
You're going to be stoked. You're going to be stoked. I landed.
Really? Why?
Alex Donor is the creator of Damien Stafford, or Where is, or Who is? No, Where is.
I'm not sure if we should be saying creator. We should like submitted by Alex, but I'm sure he had a team. I'm sure it wasn't just him. I'm pretty sure the other guy's name might be Abel. I could have that wrong.
Yeah, no, it was just but he was the leader. He was the guy that was spearheading the project.
Came along to the festival in 2016.
Yeah, of course, he has a whole team behind him.
Award on behalf of Jerome for Best Actor.
Yeah, he did a great job, but he also did one that is really close to my heart. I mean, I must say it's close to my heart because it's one of the films that has made me laugh the most, which is Windscreen.
Australian Dream.
Say again?
The Australian Dream.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic film. I've actually landed him today to be on Rewind. So I got I've locked him in for both of those films. But yeah, I think Windows is definitely in contrast with films like She's Not Your Type, by Maddie C. Villa, again, another Maddie C. Villa film. The crowd reaction to those films is just amazing. So I'd like to see, it's interesting to see what the digital reaction is, how people react in the digital space. And I guess that's what Rewind is. We're the alternative, right? We're alternative content. Like, how many times can you go and watch Stan? How many times can you go and watch Netflix? We've got some alternative content here that is totally made by people that you probably know by 6 degrees of separation, right? So, I totally recommend it to people. Like, I don't know why we didn't get onto this earlier. It took a crisis for us to figure out where we're at. This is
like, don't focus on the negativities. Look at the blessings. Like, find the gratitude. Yes.
Yeah. Well, a thing that I say to people a lot, because we've all done it before. We've all put ourselves in the victim position. If only I had is a frequent saying, right? And we don't. If you're going to take stock of what you got, you've got to count what you have, what you don't have. Don't count what you don't got. Count what you got. And I just find it really strange that we had all of this content with all of this wonderful network of filmmakers with all of this content, and we're just sitting on it. We're waiting for the next festival, because that's what you do as a festival director. That's what you do as a managing director. That's what you do as an event coordinator. You're constantly looking forward, and don't get me wrong, there's sometimes that you have reflection. We've done some of those reflective moments in Made in the West, but nothing like this. Nothing where we go, let's pump some life into this clip, because this clip is really good. And if you missed it, you're missing out. And here's another opportunity to see it.
Yeah. We should do a shout out to some of those how-tos, how to write a screenplay, how to speak English. Again.
Oh, man. You'd be happy again. You'd be happy again, J-Man. We haven't talked. Clearly, we haven't talked since. Maybe you've been looking.
Clearly, there's a pandemic, Ross.
I landed those two films today for a week for reasons. Yeah.
So, how to write a screenplay was Kat's Soul, and that was 2018, and she got runner-up Best Student Film.
Oh, actually, no, I didn't get Kat's Soul. I haven't got that film yet. She's on my hit list.
Liar!
Yeah, I know. I will get in touch with her. Sorry, what was the other film you're talking about?
How to Speak English by Tiffany Liu.
How to Speak English. Yeah. So we got that film today. We got the approval.
I
for
really, really
today.
like that film.
But How to Write a Screenplay, I just can't think of a better film in the current context. Maybe Hunger. I got Hunger today as well.
Kevin Kim, yes.
Yeah, Hunger was. It was great to talk to Kevin today. Because he resonated with me. He was like, "Man, this is a perfect film for the current situation." I go, a little bit dystopian, a little bit, maybe. Maybe it has Orwellian traits to it that will fit in the Corona crisis. But ultimately, though, when you look at these films, you go, they're either escapism or they're a little bit of a reference to where we are now. And either which path you take with these films, they're entertaining. There's something that you could sit down with some popcorn, a 6-pack of beer, either watch it on your phone, watch it on your PC, watch it on your projector if you're running it through your PC, if you're a crazy man like me. These are films that you can totally be entertained by. 30 minutes of your time, and you're going to have a good time. And you're going to realize that everything's not Hollywood, man. There are other options. There are other things out there. Totally.
And give it a go. Like, yeah. I mean, if you can watch them for the entertainment factor, but everyone carries a camera around in their pocket these days, you know? Like, just give it a crack.
Well, I do. There's a lot of people tapping into that. There's a lot of even festivals that are tapping into mobile created content. But yeah, I just think that there's a missed opportunity if people don't watch this content. And it's like kind of buying your fruit from Coles or buying fruit from your local, stop on the side of the road. You know that you're going to get a better mango locally than you are imported. And that's kind of what's going on with Made in the West. You're going to get some really decent content that's of a different alternative view. And all of it is not that it has one specific view. There's a multitude and a myriad of views that are shown in these films. I think there's some films I've got to be careful of showing. I was going through the list today. Some are a little bit too rated R, I think. Some of them are a little bit too rated R.
But that's what Made in the West is.
I know.
If you're translating that into a YouTube environment, which is a bit more public domain, I suppose, then yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, some of them are a bit too heavy, but there are certainly some in there that can really show some folks that we're doing something that's really cool. And there's there's a lot of cool things that are going on. But with that said, Made in the West isn't over for this year just yet. We may be doing this internet series of Rewind, but that doesn't mean the festival's over yet. We've still got the potential to do the festival. We need to wait to see how the rules change for social distancing and public gatherings, of course. And we even have plans in place to think about what a digital festival will look like in November. We've already started drawing plans for that. So for anyone that's listening, we still have a platform. And
totally. So we're monitoring the advice from the chief medical officer, from the government, from all of those people that we should be listening to. And we will make a decision whether or not Made in the West goes ahead in a physical format by August, September, probably. And should that happen, then Made in the West will absolutely proceed in a digital capacity, whatever that looks like, to be determined.
We are going forward, and a part of that going forward is actually, ironically, is looking back, and that's what I come back to that idea as a festival manager and a curator, as an event coordinator. We look forward to what we're going to do. We go, right, here's some content. Let's get a DCP together. Let's get this on a cinema screen. Let's get some bums on seats. Let's sell some popcorn. Let's sell a couple of beers. Let's show some people some really cool content. And there may be a few windows where we look back, but we're in this scenario where it's a full window looking back, and I just can't say enough how blown away I am by going through this content and going, man, if you think it's cool now, it was cool before. It was totally cool before. And it's just getting better, right? It's just getting better. So with that said, after we get the blank year of 2020, where we look back in hindsight, which I just find, again, so ironic that we're in this year, 2020, and we're looking back over all of this content to then look at 2021 to look at the new content that's coming. I just think we're in a really exciting time. We're in an exciting time to look at how we conduct ourselves in a workplace. We're in an exciting time to look at how we create content, how we collaborate, the process of collaboration, the process of content creation. This is just an amazing, unprecedented time in human history. And I just find it exciting that we're at the coalface doing it. It's just so exciting to me.
And I mean, even in a like a wider capacity, you know, something that I have heard about. There was a story on the project. It was around, you know, we're going through this pandemic, and it's this idea of all of this stuff has stopped: international travel, crossing borders, you know, planes and all that sort of stuff. And it's like we get to choose what we return to, right? Like, if climate change is this next big thing that's bearing down on us, like, let's not have so many flights now, you know. Let's look at what we can be doing to manage that a bit better.
Yeah, I think we've been, again, it comes down to that opportunity. We have an opportunity to look at how we're doing things in the past versus looking forward. Because don't get me wrong, looking forward is very important. It's very important to see what the future is. But I think the past is important to see what the future is. And I think maybe we got a bit lost. Maybe we got
Is there something about the past are condemned to repeat it?
Oh, history repeats itself. Is that where we're going?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Misty would know.
Misty would totally know. But I think we've reached the end of our podcast, J-Man. I think we're right at the end.
I miss you so much.
I miss you too, man. Like, we work together so well, but we work together very well online as well, even though that sometimes I'm a day late on my updating of the database. I know. But these things happen. But look, man, let me wrap it up by saying it's fantastic working with you, J-Man. Drinking beer with you, or cider. You're a cider drinker, I know.
I would never drink beer. You disgust me.
Disgust me.
You don't know me at all.
But let me say, it's fantastic working with you, online or offline. I can't stop burping. It's
all right. Maybe I'll wrap it up. So thanks everyone for listening to the Pagey Train. I'm Roscoe.
Drank way too much beer on this podcast, as per usual. But let me finally wrap this up by saying thank you so much for being on the show, J-Man. And look, guys, if you want to get some promotions done, don't be hesitant. Check out the Still Searching Productions page. If you want to be a part of the Pagey Train, let me know. We're totally up for promoting people's films and promoting what they're doing at the time. And if you need any Foley promotions done, again, contact us. And of course, check out Rewind on the Made in the West YouTube channel. And of course, again, tick like on Facebook. And again, thank you so much, Jay, for being on the show.
I'd just like to say, if anyone wants a hug or a compliment, they can hit me up.
Not free, honey, but available.
Just a shout out to me, that's all.
Well, a big shout out straight back out to you, J-Man. And you've been watching the Pagey Train, and we will see you next time. I think that's it. I think we got to the end. Is that the end?
Hopefully my tambourine didn't cut you off.
Oh, man, 6-pack into this fucking podcast. Jesus, I had so much going on. Band, show, podcast. Jesus, I've got to pee.
Yes, Linda.
Oh, let me just press stop.